Welcome everybody to another edition of Late Night Dominion. I'm your host Aegon, and I'll take it over to the Master of Ceremonies, Orochi.
Hi guys, and welcome to Late Night Dominion with your host, Aegon the Ginger Technomade, Beetle the Bearded Gamer, Bustlebound the Blank Space, and myself, the Token Brit. This week our show, Nix's, our mime, is back in his corner. Cheers. Over to you, Blank.
All right, guys, good to see you. Got a lot of stuff to try and cover, so bear with us. We're going to do, of course, this week in Wildstar News. There is a lot of stuff. Bear with us. A lot of you are here. You want to know about the Town Hall meeting, and we're going to generate a lot of questions from you guys. We're going to talk about them at the end. Please don't put links in chat, and also pay attention if you're here watching this live tonight. All the things that we mentioned and talk about, they're going to be posted in the chat for you guys to go check out as we discuss them. So if you missed something, you want to favorite it for later, this would be the time to do it. And if not, if you're watching on YouTube, tomorrow, the next day when it finally gets up, you'll be able to follow those links and follow along as we go. Want to mention, make sure to follow us on Twitch and follow us on Twitter. We all have, you can't see them anymore, but we all have a bunch of our individual, and then there's also at SVG Wildstar. Make sure to like us on Facebook. Now, before we head into the weekly news, we want to ask everyone here to help us generate topics to discuss at the Town Hall meetings next week. I know you guys don't have a lot of context on that, but again, bear with us. While we're going over the news, post questions or topics, suggestions of things that you feel is important. So if you could pick up the phone and you could talk to Gaffer yourself and be like, hey, this is important and this is why, we want to know about it. So this is part of generating this feedback for next week. Now we're going to get into the news. We were hanging out in IRC just today, and one of the developers posted a funny picture. They were talking about, the servers during the stress tests and how it was like to try and deal with them. So you guys should be seeing that sometime soon. Kind of a funny little picture. I believe it was Jay Talk who did that.
Jay Talk, and the quote was, "This is beta."
Yeah, it was pretty funny. The next notable thing for Wildstar Weekly News is Maria Miller. She is the British Cultural Secretary. She was checking out Wildstar. If you guys didn't get a chance to see it, you should see a link in chat. She is a member of the Conservative Party. She represents the city of Basingstoke. Am I saying that right, Arosh?
Basingstoke.
That one.
You're saying it wrong.
Cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool to see, a cultural secretary checking out the game that we're all, super pumped for. So if you didn't check that out, we got the link for you. Go watch it. It's definitely interesting. Other things. Hashtag Dominion Domination this week was the Wildstar Wednesday. The Lumini was the topic for the lore of Wildstar Wednesday.
I have to say that, have we got more proof that Dominion is the rightful dominance in our own universe, combined with the law about the Illuminati breeding with the Kashians, and the fact that the UK government now is accepting, their membership into the Dominion Empire. It's all about moving forwards and exiles. I'm sorry, you keep rebelling against what's happening, Our fault.
So that was Orochi. We like to get all what could be happening or what is happening. So that was Oroshi's take on that. Frost interview had two of them this week. There's one at Connected Digital World, and there was also one for powerplay.be. They were both very insightful. One of them was about 20 minutes. I'm not sure about the other one. There weren't a lot of really big nuggets in there. It was pretty much a lot of the stuff. If you've been a hardcore, viewer or someone who's been active, you know what's, the material is. But it's good to see, Frosty. The guy's a great guy, and he's, correct me if I'm wrong, but he is the DevSpeak voice. So good to see him. I guess they gave the next bullet point, Jeremy Gaffney, the week off, because last week was his week. This week was more Frosty. There was a leftover interview from warcry.com. It was talking about discovering new paths, and that, again, was with Jeremy Gaffney. You should be seeing a link there soon. There was a post at Wildstar Central that talked about Elden game itemization. that we are going to get into as one of our talking points. There was an interview with Tiffany Chu and Joe. Help me with the name again.
Piapora?
Anybody? Piapora? Sure, we'll go with that.
I think it's Piapora.
She was one of the social systems lead, and now Joe is. So we're going to get into that a little bit. There was also mention about dyes being consumable. A lot of you people out there love to, change your colors. Everybody wants to be black or silver, make them look like Mega Man or whatever. So, interesting note, dyes as consumables was discussed this week at Wildstar Central. There was a lot of discussion about circuit board crafting. We're going to get into that pretty deep here in a moment. So, that is your brief week in Wildstar news. So, we're going to jump on into the topics here. And the first one that we have, and you should be seeing a little picture here in a second, is Wildstar Wednesday. It was based on lore. I don't know if you guys kind of got the joke, but when they put it on Twitter, it was like, do you want A, lore, B, lore, C, lore, or that's it. So it was lore. It was about the Lumini, and we're gonna just talk about that a little bit. I love to see the Dominion getting a little lore love. So, what did you guys think, Orochi? When it came to the lore and stuff, I'm not big into it. I know some of you guys are. So, Orochi, what did you have to say?
Space elves. That's what I had to say. Pointy ears, elves. They managed to fit them in, and then the half elves as well. It's just space elves. That's what I had to say about it. But no, it's really interesting to see the backstory and how well it's thought out. It adds some more connection to the game.
Alrighty.
Beetle?
Any of you other guys, Beetle, Aegon,
Yeah.
lore, Lumini, Dominus.
Aegon, go ahead. I'll go after Aegon.
Over at Central, we've been having a nice long conversation about this, and we got into whole topics of genetics and basically around his ears and how we don't know what DNA strands the Eldons may have taken outside of, the Cassians and themselves. But, if you compare him and a Draken, the ears are almost identical. So there was nice conspiracy theories going on in that post of maybe they slipped in some Draken DNA, along with the rest to give them more of those high-end combat attributes.
Yeah. I stumbled my way into that Wildstar Central thread and slowly backed myself out. I was I think I may have posted once in it, and I was just like, the first one was talking about, man, they look really similar to Draken. I was just like, uh-oh. Here come the theories all over the place. But I'm a huge, I guess you could say lore guy. I'm a huge reader. One of my favorite authors of all time is R.A. Salvatore, and it's just something that can get me reading the first paragraph about the Lumini and being like, oh, this is kind of interesting, and how they bred this whole race that is destined to rule. It's got like a really cool like backstory if they could write like a book on it, because like fantasy books with like a hint of politics to them are really interesting for me. I don't know if anybody read, there was a 2-part book. It was like The Awakened Mage and a different mage book where like mages were like the upper political caste and other people couldn't use magic. Like, I think it's cool to have like a politics or a ruling caste within the game, and yeah, I like it.
Is that what we got for Wildstar Wednesday? You guys probably know
Look
that.
at the ears. Didn't they?
Yeah, Aegon said something about
Here's the
that.
point. That's art.
The ears being from the Draken, but I thought from the background that they turned up and then they bred the Cassians there and then the Draken were found.
The Draken were
The
brought
Eldons
into
turned
the
up
Empire, but who knows what the Eldon already knew. The Eldon
Yep.
could have had DNA samples from every race in the universe, from how old they were supposedly are supposed to be.
The Eldon are
As long as it doesn't
cobras.
involve bunny girls.
And think about it, if the
Jesus.
Makari knew about the Draken, so that means the Eldon had to know about the Draken if the Makari are supposed to be Eldon creations.
This is just like that Jim Carrey movie,
move
whatever
on.
that one was. Number 32 or whatever it was.
What, 23? That horrible ass
Yeah.
movie.
There, that's what it is. All right.
As you guys can
Moving
tell,
on,
I don't read too much into the lore stuff. I find like
We
my
said
anchor
Lord
point.
Blank was just like,
I was like,
turn down the volume.
so I'll be over here, like. But there is a base part of the lore that most people connect with. We had the conversation when Airwolf was here about what it is that initially drives you, and then lore is just the more that you see it, whether you're doing quests or reading, it's interesting. It draws you in. For me, it's got to be like super immersive for me to be like, wow, this is cool. Because normally it's like I got my base point, like the Dominion feel like it's his birthright. That's it. Like after that, I'm done reading. So for you guys, you want to talk about their ears and genetics, and I'm like, don't care. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys in chat, which one you are. Whether you're more like there's one specific thing, or is it like, oh my goodness, I want to keep reading about this more and more and more.
It'd be nice to see fan
Next
fiction as
topic.
well.
Really?
Fan fiction.
Yeah, being involved in it, some more like fan fiction writing back the lore and giving that some community feedback and expanding upon it.
Well, I mean, this world's so open.
Who knows?
I mean, if they want the fans to get in on it, I mean, that should be kind of cool.
Yeah. Let's hear some fan fiction written up. 4 paragraphs about this young Draken falling in love with a young Eldon, and they run away to some beach in Daradoon.
We said fan fiction, not fan service.
Next week's
Well-
competition will be whoever can write the best story shall
Best
win
love
themselves
story.
nothing.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
The next topic that we have is Elden game itemization. There was a post over at Wildstar Central where Gortek posted. There were a lot of interesting points there. One of them is about balancing PvE and PvP gear. You've got tier 3 PvP and you have tier 1 or tier 2 rating gear. How do you'd like to have them be balanced for whatever sections you're in, but it's not just a PvP or PvE game. You're going to be playing different things. So, wanted to get into that a little bit. Did you guys have some comments about, your concerns or thoughts about, end game, Elden game itemization?
Yeah, I guess I could touch on that. Like, with the itemization and what Gortek's talking about, it's good that they're thinking about that, in that the fact that there's going to be people, there always is in games, that want them to have, there's people that play games differently. You got your PvPers, you got your raiders. So if they're looking to say, like, all right, Warplots is going to give our best gear, well, we need raiding give the best gear too, and these should somehow meet in the middle, hopefully. And so like the team over here that only does Warplots is like, hey, I can't get that helmet that gives plus whatever, and only raiders get that. Like, it's definitely a big thing, because there's going to be guilds and war parties and groups that are going to be focused on, Warplots, and if they can't get the gear that other people can get, it's kind of like Guild Wars 2 and the structured PvP to me. And the reason I didn't play a ton of it, yes, I love PvP and I love, smashing heads, stuff like that, and the PvP was fun, but there's nothing for me to really gain in it. Yes, there's glory, yes, there's you get your skins, and there's still a Mystic Forge, but I'm not out there getting the same gear that everybody is getting, so I think it's a good thing that they're going to be touching on that. Orochi, what do you think?
From what I've been reading on, they're going to tier it as well between the different levels of PvP. So you got your battlegrounds, your arenas, and the warplots. And the warplots gave me the highest, then arenas and battlegrounds. Does that not make warplots a necessity if you want to do well in battlegrounds or arenas? By tiering it that way? If someone enjoys just playing arenas, they're going to be at a disadvantage because they're not in a guild good enough to hold down a good warplot or something. I can see that being an issue to some people.
Cool. I can see this is going to be one of those days where we bounce around and talk about a bunch of different things. The reason I don't worry about that as much is because of that next level, thank you, Carbine, social system. They have circles. So your guild is your 5-10 real life buddies, and you guys do nothing but PvP. And you happen to be good at PvP. And when I say PvP, I'm sorry, I mean arenas. Or maybe even battlegrounds. You get good gear out of there, but within your circle, they're friends with a bunch of the role players. So they decide they're going to put together for shits and giggles, a war plot with their friends, and they can still, they're not going to be the top tier. They might not be the highest rated, but they'll still have access to that gear because of circles, which I think is amazing. You can still have your small group of friends or your large group of whatever it is, but still have circles out there to then be like, hey, you know what? I may not be able to access this content within my guild organizational structure, but I do have other people out there within a social structure that I can reach out to do those things with. They may not be the 1%, the 5% for PvE and PvP in the sense of war plots or raids. However, they'll still be able to access the content.
It might be. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, it might be like with the tiered PvP gear. It might be them saying, "Well, if you like PvP enough, you need to get out here and come do this. Then, if you want the best gear, like you need to put in a little more effort." Yes, like you're saying with the circles and stuff. Yes, there's gonna be teams that are only us 3 guys. All we do is arenas. We love arenas. Well, if you 3 guys really want to get that better gear, you should look for another 37 people and, try to get that better gear. Like, it goes to, like, how much effort you're actually going to put in. Because there's not going to be people in PvE that stand around and say, I want raid gear. Why don't I get raid gear? I've been killing this one mob all day and I don't get raid gear. So it's just like that 1% thing. Who puts in the most effort? What do you think, Aegon?
I think it's gonna. The different tiering systems. It's interesting. The question is, how is it going to translate between each other? If I'm in tier 3, PvP gear, will that be sufficient for me to do a tier 1 or tier 2 raid?
Right.
How that's going to turn out, I don't know. The alternate systems of getting gear could help, some of the more solo players. With a chance of getting things through, like the achievements and reputation, which can, supplement those people that don't have the time to constantly farm arenas or farm war plots or go on raids every day. But I think the real balance is going to come into how those gears balance between the two sections of PvP and PvE. If I'm wearing tier 2 raiding gear, am I still going to be as efficient in PvP if I'm in if I'm not in tier 3 PvP gear? So it's going to be a trade-off. I got a feeling that it's going to be, you're still going to be good in PvP if you have tier 2 raiding gear, but you're not going to be as good as statted as someone in tier 3 PvP gear without going the extra mile to either upgrade or get reputation add-ons to craft better things into your armor, etc.
Right.
And if you guys didn't hear that, I want to make sure to highlight that. And I'm going to take my time. Vendors sell items that are locked by reputation and achievements. It's an alternate system for getting items that are available to supplement your gear. Achievements supplementing gear. This is, unless I'm incorrect, this is something new. We've been told that they are mediocre for the tier that they are in, but for a couple slots, they're competitive with the best tier stuff. So, for those that are min-maxers, you're going to be looking at not only doing your raids, doing whatever you're doing, but also having to go do an achievement to possibly get a slot that's competitive or might bump you up enough to help you be more efficient at whatever you're doing, whether it's PvE or PvP. They did mention that they won't be purchased with coins. They wouldn't get too much into specifics. I am right now, people are kind of asking the Elder Game itemizations. This was a post from the econ designer Gortek. They seem to put a lot of weight into being able to buy things for what you do. So there's a value system to not only just reputation but an achievement. Like that's
I think
that's
it'll be
new.
I think it'll be an earned token system or something for the quote unquote currency rather than coin.
Yeah, it'll be a currency. They just said it wouldn't. I don't know. They said it wouldn't be coins. Was that the thing? That
Yeah,
it was?
basically it wouldn't be
Yeah,
your cash, so it's probably going to be some kind of token system or medals that you earned, etc.
Hiroshi, did you have something to throw in here for the?
Just wanted to backtrack a little bit to what Aegon said about solo players. From everything I'm reading, this is not a solo player game. This is about a social game. You join up with people, you help each other out. You know, if you're going to play solo in this game, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage. This is aimed at the 1%. It's aimed at a game where people work together.
It's not focused on solo, but you're always going to have those times when you're playing when there's not going to be a bunch of people around. Hell, it might be late at night and most of your circle, your guild aren't around, but you want to get something done. So, far from up that night.
But it's not, I feel, and you guys, might have different opinions, I feel that they allow you to play as you want to play with paths, but it's not limited. So if you enjoy solo play, and that's what you do, you can go and enjoy it within the confines of what it means to just be solo, grind by yourself, whatever. But they're trying to nurture, hey, you're a solo dude, but you might bring something really cool as a crafter, as whatever, to a circle or a guild. So it's like, if you want to do solo stuff, there's lots of stuff to do. Cool beans, do what you want to do. But if you're interested in doing stuff with other people, there's a lot of, you bring a lot to it. It's not just, there's nothing to do. Because there's some games where soloing, like, it sucks. There's absolutely nothing to do. At least here, it's like, you can solo play, enjoy it, have fun, but there's all these cool things over here with these people. Come on over, like, just come hang out a little bit. So
that's the way the game's geared, isn't it? With circles, that's the way the game's geared. The whole idea, I see circles, I know we're getting over a little bit in a minute, is just trying to get that social aspect. Those people who don't want to join the guild can still have that group of friends you can contact easily.
Well, I think they're doing their best.
That's the route we're going.
They're doing their best to encourage as much sociability as possible, and giving that opportunity to the players to use it. But there's always going to be that time where you just don't feel like hanging with people, or, like I said, people aren't around at the time. But yeah, they are giving us the tools to be as social as we choose to be.
Yeah, it's just like chat room saying, it's MMO. There's go.
I'm not saying you can't solo. I'm just saying I think they're designing the game you at a disadvantage by not being in a group. They're trying to make everything to work together. Just point at the paths, or the paths are trying to get people to join up into groups. What they're saying, the whole social circle, the whole guild, it's just trying to. For most MMOs these days, out of the box is bang. No, go and do what you want on your own. Don't worry about these guilds. We really forgot about them ourselves.
Right, I definitely see what you mean by kind of like prodding people towards. It's just like what Guild Wars 2 did with public events. Oh, we're all in here doing stuff together. I mean, no one grouped up with anybody, but it's like you said with paths. There's an explorer with a door he needs to open. The soldier knows there's something in it. Oh crap, I'm going to invite him because we can go do this together. So, yeah, I can see what you mean.
But you don't feel that it's like exclusionary though, like because there's a difference between you because you're saying they're at a disadvantage. I wouldn't word it like that. I would just word it as they're giving you to do something as solo, but not to the point where like you can craft a legendary Guild Wars 2 by yourself or whatever. But if you want to do something that's really cool like that, you have the ability to partake in it. Are you saying that it's more like this is all the cool stuff's here, you better have a friend, or are you saying I'm really looking at what are you saying? Are they disadvantaged, or
I think they're saying all the cool stuff's here, bring your friends, play this as a multiplayer game. Where it's like Guild Wars, for example, you actually have public quests. You turned up and he joined into that quest. No point did he join a group. No point did he ever feel like he's playing anyone. It was just a group of individual players beating on a monster. I think what they're trying to do in this game, and a lot of MMOs have neglected, this is a multiplayer game. And if you're going to solo it, that's your choice. But I think you're going to find at Wildstar, you're going to be at a big disadvantage because they're tuning stuff, they're aiming stuff, and they're pushing towards that, 40-man raids. The end content, even adventures aren't solo, they're like you and your mate. or like a small group. I think everything they're tailoring is towards group play. And if you decide to go in solo, it's late at night or something, expand us. If you do it regularly, expand one of your circles to cover that. That's the whole idea, is you don't have to be in a guild if you want to play with them. You can be in a circle with them and still communicate. It's just, I think, MMOs have drifted too far away from the fact they're multiplayer games and made them all soloable content. And I don't think people are going to find that with this game. I think people who that mentality of soloing are going to struggle, and that could be a good challenge for them, and they may enjoy that. But I think your best bet is to go out and find some mates to cover when you play.
Well, yeah,
And join a guild, any guild.
I think they're definitely, like I said, they're definitely encouraging people to group up. I think, you're still going to have fun solo playing, but you're definitely not going to see that, oh my god, that looks so cool, or that was so fun, without getting into the group aspect of the game, I believe.
Before we move off this, the one last thing, we may not have a lot to chat about, but a lot of you out there are asking for it, so it was on the document. Crafting is viable in the Elder game, but not for every slot at every tier. Crafters have meaningful processes of advancing their craft, and they have a meaningful way of specializing and finding their own niche. Some are dropped, some are purchased recipes. They're able to supplement most slots at every tier. On the low end of the spectrum of items for that tier, it's still better than the previous tier. So even on the low end, it's still better. They have a systemized approach to improving the schematics, and they were kind of vague. Again, what they kept pushing was, but not for every slot at every tier. When it comes to crafting, and this is going to lead us in, I do believe. Oh, no, it doesn't lead us in. What we will be talking about a little bit. No, it doesn't. My bad. Sorry, guys. Crafting and a little bit of the circuit board stuff that we've seen. What do you guys think about keeping meaning in specializing crafters? We've talked about this a little bit before. I hate to bring the dead horse back, but we talked about going into raid content, going into certain content, and having to get, a drop that a crafter might need. And they've also mentioned that you're not going to have just one crafter. Some of these things you might need 3 or 4 crafters with certain things to give it meaning, and then that makes it very specialized. What do you guys think about the direction they're going, or the direction that they should go?
I can say this if you want. I'm hoping they're limiting recipes. That you have to discover some stuff, and you can't learn everything, because that will push people into niches of like, this is the area I want to specialize in. Too many games I've played, you can learn every single recipe, and then somebody quickly makes a guide upon how to discover all those secret recipes, and then you have no niches. I think if they say you can learn, say, 30, 40 recipes, that would quickly limit what people can do, and then you have to rely upon other people in your guild, your circle, or the marketplace to cover those gaps you have in your list. What do people think about that?
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, not giving everything in the crafting profession. Well, haven't they said that you'll be able to switch crafting professions for like nothing? So there's a possibility that everybody will be able to craft everything already. I don't know. It's just I would rather them move a crafting thing. I know I saw OnRes in here talking about SWG. It's like making things rare and making other people viable. It's just like, oh, I have this awesome, weapons guy on my friends list. I know he's ranked up super high. He's got great weapons. He's got all the best materials, stuff like that. It just adds another whole scope to the game when you're just like, you have like these little, black market friends that are all about crafting and have been scavenging this stuff for forever and are just working on their stuff. And you can message and be like, hey, I really need you to make me this. I think a lot of games go about crafting too leisurely and just kind of throw it in, and it's just a bing done, you're leveled up, bing done. So it's like,
yep.
I don't know, it just needs more substance to it.
It does.
Any thoughts,
Guild Wars 2.
Well, I mean, I think crafting-wise, the way crafting has gone lately, I mean, I think it's going to be, everyone's going to end up being able to craft everything. I mean, the days of like Star Wars Galaxies crafting, where you pretty much had to specialize because you ended up having to create your own entire production system, is long gone. Um, I would like to see required cooperation between different crafts to create major items, and limiting X number of crafts to people would encourage that. But who knows what they're going to do with it? I hope that they limit it some, so that you at least have to rely on other people to make some of the better stuff, rather than just being able to pump out the best items by yourself whenever you want.
Yeah, I call it the good inconvenience.
Yeah.
Yes, it's inconvenient that I can't craft it, but it's a good thing because then it just adds more to the game.
It also creates a more interesting supply and demand for items that people need to craft.
Well, even the
Maybe
economy, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rose.
Maybe they could push stuff out. The economy in too many MMOs just seems to be a central auction house. Being an EVE player where you had lots of places you could sell your wares, maybe if you make a lot of first aid kits, you can go out to a quest hub and sell them there. You can sell them more expensive than the auction house because some guy's going to come back and go, I've died. I need first aid kits now. I don't want to travel back 5-10 minutes to get some. I can buy some here. Yeah, it's going to cost me a few silver extra. And go with that. And maybe then you can open up and everyone could craft everything.
So you put in like zone restricted
Yeah,
markets.
zone-based. You still can have your central auction house you go back to the main town to do. If you need that +1 sword there and then, or you need that first aid kit or a new laser rifle, you maybe have to pick one up locally, pay a little bit more for it, but then it works out worth your while because you have less downtime and you can get back out and join the fray. Like Guild Wars 2, you could buy stuff anywhere, and it didn't add any value to it, so the market quickly crashed. And I think a lot of MMOs have been like that recently because they just centralize the marketplace. Everyone allows everyone to craft everything. Everything's really easy to craft. They make it part of the leveling system, so it's in your own interest to craft up something to top level. And I think that's where they're going wrong. It should be you specialize in your thing. You can have a big, huge selection of stuff to craft from, but make it a little bit difficult so you have to specialize and work at something, and then provide people the opportunity to sell stuff at an expensive rate, and people have to choose. Do I want to pay more for it now, or do I go back and get it cheaper?
And I think also, the company needs to find even better ways to control the RMT market as well, which really is what ends up destroying the most economies, in pretty much every game I played.
The couple of things that I wanted to mention were price of materials in some of the, I'm not going to name names. There are some of the games that we've played with auction houses on it where the price of the materials end up being out of sync. Whether they cost more, like to buy these 3 things you need, for cake you need flour, your eggs, and your sugar, and all 3 of them cost more than the item. That's a problem. And also the other way is that if you can be like me, I get a nice gold lead, and then I realize, wow, these people want cake, and I can buy those 3 things super cheap, but because I have the ability to make cake and nobody else does, I'm not going to make a shit ton of money. That brings me on to the last thing, the race for rare items. For those of you who've ever been part of an expansion, one of the things that was huge for me was getting my professions maxed out, so I had the materials that people wanted. I made sure to mess with the auction house as much as possible to generate as much money as possible. And then I was in, whether it's your heroic dungeon or whatever it is, so that you were getting those rare crafting items and either selling them because the auction house made it so they were super expensive, or I was crafting those rare items that people wanted because, I was ahead of other people, but they had money. So when they got up, they were like, oh, I want a big upgrade. This one's right below rating. I'm going to buy it for 1,000 gold. And then 1 month later, that same item is worth like 100 golds. So the race for the rare items is something I always, don't get me wrong, I love it, but it's one of those things that when I see people who own an auction house or own a server, it's something that is concerning. So it's something I wanted to mention. Hiroshi, I think you had another a point about.
Yeah, it's back to your cake being cheaper than the items to make it. I think that's a symptom of people making cake to level. Because all they're doing is they're buying the items or finding the items for free. They are then not looking at the auction house or the market or whatever it is, making the item, selling it as quickly as possible to get their money and move on. I think that's where they're going wrong. If you make part of the leveling process, then the market does get distorted because people are just trying to sell stuff to make a quick buck. Get it out of there. I think if you make crafting and just pull it out to one side, and change the leveling system, so making cheap cake doesn't happen. You get better recipes because you've experimented with stuff rather than earning XP, and then maybe you find a market actually stabilizes and it becomes a good economy.
All right, well, that was our discussion on Elder Game itemization. We talked about balancing stuff. Don't forget achievements and reputation to buy stuff, and then we talked a little bit about crafting, auction house stuff. Last big part that we have for weekly news topics was the interview with Tiffany Chu and Joe. Come on, Beetle, help me out.
Piapora. And
Piapora!
This was one of the cooler articles. I'm just going to steal it from you in mid-sentence. And I really like this article because these are the two people that talk about those nummy guild stuff, the guild options, guild features, stuff like that. And we had some good tidbits out of that. Tidbits. What a weird word. And so we had guilds. Piapora said, JP, I'll call him, said guilds are created around level 10. Sweet link, Nixus. And guilds are created around level 10. And we're wondering, he says around. So what does around mean? Are we getting some sort of currency to buy the guild? Does it cost money and they're thinking that's how much money you'll gain by that point? Or Roshi, what do you think?
I think this just breaks down to around level 10, you're going to get to the major city hub. That seems to me they're talking about maybe some people are going to get there earlier, some people are going to get there later, some guy's going to go, I don't care, and run past all the mobs and hopefully make it just create their guild. I think that's what I mean around level 10, that's the content spacing they're looking at. And maybe to give people some time to create their own circles before jumping into a guild.
That's
maybe
true.
make sure that.
Blank, what you thinking?
What I wanted to say is anything that's not a static variable means that there is some leeway. So maybe it's more like it's created around level 10, but perhaps you only get the currency within the game to do so, depending on how big something is. So they're saying, okay, we're going to assume most guilds are X big or whatever. They won't be able to gather said materials, but we are going to talk about next. They're not going to be able to gather said materials until they're around as a unit around level 10. So, did you want to go into the next part?
Aegon, did you have something on it?
Aegon?
Well, I just think, I think being the whole around thing, I think they're more saying that, depending on the cost of starting that guild or the cost of the availability of the materials, they're probably estimating that around level 10 your average guild will have those resources to put together your guild. It may happen sooner, it may happen later, but I think they're probably averaging around 10 to win. The majority of active guilds will have what they need.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. Who knows? It's so much mystery. Maybe they merged a Draken with the guild guy, and you can't look at his ears until. Next good point we had from that interview is they talked about shared guild currency that drops when you play with guild members. So when you're playing grouped up with your guild members, you got this currency that's dropping just for guilds and can be used to purchase guild perks, guild buffs, most likely other things. Probably like guild dragons that you ride on. Orochi, what do you think about the guild currency system?
I think this is an absolutely amazing idea because a number of guild systems I've seen which just lead to mass recruitment. Your guild will advance if your guild members are playing with each other, rather than the guild gets 10% of everyone's XP or special items just randomly drop. You've got to hand them to the guild. I've seen so many games just go around and recruit you, not because they're interested in a member and you can bring something, because they just want your XP. They just want the way you advance. This way, you have to join a guild, you have to take part in what the guild's doing, or go off with guild mates, and then you help the guild. So again, it reinforces social interaction over just, mob guilds of 1,000 people, because that's the quickest way to advance your guild. That's my thoughts on it. What about you, Blank?
I got a knowledge bomb, so everybody, stand up, shake your arms. In this article, there was a lot of cool stuff. What was notable was the difference that they finally put out between circles and guilds. You can only be a member that, you have a friends list. You can accept, deny friendship. Cool. Circles are different. You can create circles upon having your character. So the first thing you get in, you can make your circle via the social panel. They said in many ways, guilds, circles are like guilds. They have ranks, owners, your chat room, a member list. The difference is you can only be in one guild at a time. Significance, you can join a raiding guild, you can join a PvP guild, you can join your drunken buddy 5 friends, and still be in circles with other people who are interested in different aspects. They did mention that circles don't have influence right now when it comes to looking for group tools. And the next big one that I wanted to mention was very interesting plans for guild housing in the future. To talk specifically about the guild members playing together, this is the next one. I talk about next level stuff. Guild members playing together will earn the currency that is owned by the guild and can be spent on temporary boosts for the entire guild. An example would be the guild purchasing a guild bank slot, static, or a 7-day duration 5% experience boost. That's all we got. But
7
to
days.
me, that's a big deal. 5%
That's a week. That's almost a week.
experience
The whole week,
boost. So now, metagaming, you now have to think, do we need our guild bank first? Or do we have the system in place to take care of the guild bank within a bunch of alts or whatever? Do we buy this? Do we buy that? Again, hats off Carbine. Awesome layer to an MMO. So when it comes to what you're going to spend this currency on, I think we're going to find it's going to be like, it's a tiered approach. We're like, what comes first? How much did we get today? How much do we generate per hour? Like,
First tier is Guild Dragon. That's not a question. I don't care what you say. All the money. If I have the right to spend the guild currency, oh my god. But
And to note,
jeez.
don't give people that right.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about do the big quote from it, or did you already say that?
I mentioned it. I did mention it, but go ahead.
Alright,
The big quote.
So the exact quote about guild housing from JP was, "We have some interesting plans for guild housing that and more that will be." What? Who wrote this? All right. They have interesting plans for guild housing, and they'll be excited to share them when they're allowed to. So, Wildstar Wednesday on guild housing or guild features or guild stuff, and yeah, it'll just blow my mind. It'll be like, here's the guild house with the guild dragon on it, and Aegon's writing me a note. Remember, this quote was translated from German. That makes more sense. Google Translate. GG, Google Translate. That's why I felt dumb. Alright, Orochi, what do you got to say about guild housing?
Well, it's not about guild housing. If you've got guild housing, does that mean war plots are going to be more individual-based rather than guild-based? There's a lot of people who've been throwing around that war plots is the guild housing. Are they going to separate that? It's going to be the interesting thing.
Who knows? At this
feel
point,
like they
it'd be
are.
cool if they were the same thing. It would actually be really cool if, like, your war plot actually ends up becoming your guild house once they actually put that system in.
What if What if you just
No, I don't
park
think
all
that'd
the
be cool.
guilds' housing
That'd
plots
be
into
awesome.
each other and just call it a tailgate?
I think having a
I-
separate guild house, guild hall would be better. And then you could buy war slots, maybe a guild currency or something, or in-game gold. You could do it with your circle of friends. That way, if you've got a big guild and you've got some guys playing at night, some guys playing during the day, and some guys playing in the evening, you can separate out those war plots so they can work on their own progression.
Yeah, it was Warplots. I'm assuming it's warplots.com or net or whichever they are. It would mess up the concept of war parties. I feel that just like they've said about housing, you're going to have your own house that's separate from other things, but people might be able to join it. The guild will be specific for those in the guild. They'll, recruits may not be able to, who knows. But this is your area to do whatever. And with the customization they're allowing, my mind is just blowing up with, what could we put there? What could we put? Do you put down a boss in a hard mode and they're like, here's your trophy. Go put it in your guild hall. You're like, YOLO, homies, check this out. Like, look at our little trophy. Like we were like one of the first 10 in the world to do it. Like, I think that there's a lot of possibilities, and that's one of those, super exciting things about this game. Like, I could have a guild hall where we're hanging out with our guildies, but also have who knows what inside. I mean, I think that's just flipping awesome. Roche, do you have something else
Some
to
sort
add
of
to this?
teleporter there, yeah. I just think it'd be really cool if in the guild house you had the teleporters, you can visit guildies' houses easily. Just get around and pull them in without necessarily having to have them on your guild house plot. Because, it just ends
That's a
up
really
like
good
empty
idea.
space. Maybe you can go, hey, I'm going to
see-
visit Nix's house because I heard he's got pretty pajamas, which you've all seen.
Yeah,
You can do it.
that's normal. Nothing new there. Let's pick on him because he's muted.
Yep.
Oh,
He's quiet.
Nixus, what do you think about that, buddy? Oh, that's right. We had a bunch of questions to generate. We're going to get to the questions. I'm going to explain, and you guys, if you have questions about the town hall as I describe it, please put it in chat. I'm going to try and keep that all in one. So the town hall, questions about it, and then we'll get to the rest of the show questions before we wrap things up. So for those of you that have been waiting,
Before you go into your nitty-gritty about Town Hall, can I just give like a general overview of what one is for people that don't know? Because I see you got a lot
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
nitty-gritty. So
Yeah.
basically, guys, what a Town Hall is, they've been done for other games. I know some of you may have been part of them. It's just a thing where a lot of us get together, say on a VoIP of some sort, and you get a couple of the devs, and we all take our turns talking, letting ourselves go through certain topics that we've prepared, and it's a good old time. And yeah, Blank's got the nitty gritty here. I'll let him go through it.
all right. For the town hall information, we are going to be renting out a large TeamSpeak to host the two town halls. There's two different ones. They're going to be scheduled for next week. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, I asked for people to retweet and favorite a tweet today to find out, or at least start bringing together people who had fan sites and guilds and things like that to start being able to connect with them next week. We're going to be generating feedback in the form of social focus groups from the active Wildstar community. We're going to be sending it along to Carbine. We need everyone's help to collect up the important discussion points, and we're going to be using polls. There's a straw poll website or something like that to gather data to be able to send back to Carbine on a lot of different topics. We're asking that you send 2 representatives per organization. If you run a fan site and you're also a member of a guild, please try to come as a rep for just one of them. The 2 different town halls, there's going to be a North American, Australian, Southeast Asia town hall. There's going to be, the best that we can make it convenient for everybody. And then we're also going to have a European town hall, again, to be scheduled for next week. Basic introductions will be done. Everyone can kind of meet each other. We'll be doing some roundtable discussions on the topics that we've collected. We're going to be collecting them from Wildstar Central, Twitter, anywhere and everywhere, and boiling it down to what the important ones are. It's going to be collected as the voice of the active Wildstar community, and they're going to cover topics like payment models and flying mounts, for example. After the event is over, we're going to open up the floor, and we're going to let people hang out, chat, talk to others, content generators, guilds, anything. That'll be kind of like a free hangout time. We're going to be using the tag Wildstar Town Hall. So it's hashtag WS Town Hall.
Typed it.
Or no, do we switch that? I'm sorry.
That's what I typed. What'd you put?
Yeah, that's what we're
You
going
guys
with.
are terrible.
That's what we're going with.
It's WS Town
Yes,
Hall?
WS Town Hall.
Yeah, WS Town Hall.
Okay. Wildstar WS Town Hall is the hashtag. And now, if anyone had questions, sorry, I wasn't focusing. Did we have specific questions about the town hall that you guys wanted to ask? Did we have any of those? Of course, I'm asking Nixus, so he's pointing. He's pointing. Sorry, guys, we're looking. Our document is a little cluttered today.
I don't see any.
All right. Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions about the town hall. So, if you are, somebody just asked, does Carbine know this is coming? Yes, we would not be doing something without this, without consulting with them first. So, we did talk to them. We got the okay. And again, if you, like we said, if you want to get your topic heard, if you're a guild that's active, if you're an organization, if you're like Patrician and you do the role playing thing, make sure to contact us on Twitter, watch for the thread on Wildstar Central, and let us know. One of the questions I was asked was, how will those who are not affiliated with any organizations or attendees have our voices heard? There will be a thread on Wildstar Central for you to post up any and all feedback, because it's all going to get sorted through. We will take the heaviest weighted variables, the topics that people really, really feel strongly about, and that will be based upon what everybody generates for us, and present them to everyone there, get a chance for people to talk about it, and submit that to Carbine. Will there be punch? Only if you bring it. International guilds. The reason that we set them up the way that we did was so that we're covering all of the time zones. So, or a majority of the time zones. So, the first time, like I said, is going to be a North American, Southeast Asia, and Australian time zone. For those, it might be their early morning or whatever. It will be convenient. And then we will have one that's for European time zone. And Genetic had put in, I'm a hardcore crafter. How does my voice get heard? Make sure, because you're not the only one. There's a lot of people out there. Make sure to post that on Wildstar Central. Like I said, we will be generating a thread over there. Put your stuff there, because just because you're not in an organization doesn't mean that your topic isn't important. And if there's enough people, just because you're not in a guild doesn't mean that there aren't hundreds of you who are interested in that aspect that can't, put that on there for it to be something on the docket that we submit. Be like, out of, this many people that attended, out of this many people that looked at this thing, it's the sociological numbers nobody cares about. This is how significant and important this is to the active gaming community, whether they're in a guild or not in a guild. This is the stuff. So I'll be breaking that down personally and making sure we send that along to them.
Yeah,
somebody
that's
asked
the
if
big
it was,
point of the thread too. Is like if you post it there, we can take it upon ourselves to push it forward for you. If you're not part of an organization, if you don't want to hang out, if you don't want to be part of the town hall, be sure to post it there, and we can take it and put it in our little bag and be like, yeah, I play this card, Carbine. You gonna redact this, and then we'll see if they do.
Did I mention it is going to be streamed? They will both be streamed, and they will both be posted up for YouTube. And we are giving opinions on, like I said, payment model, flying mounts, things that have been decided already we are not going to be going into. Just, I mean, if at the end of the town hall, like I said, when the stream comes down, if people are interested in hanging out and talking, networking, cool beans, like we're going to try and open up the server to pretty much anybody that's interested in coming and hanging out. But yeah, it's the focus is to try and get, like I said, focus group data back to Carbine on topics that we want them to know about, that, hey, this is really important. We are a community, we're active, we have a voice, and they said, we're listening. So, I said, we're interested in gathering it together, and we got a big thumbs up. Somebody asked when the date is. The date will be announced both on Wildstar Central and on Twitter, probably on our Facebook. As soon as and what we're trying to do is make sure that the time zones sort out for everybody. So as soon as we have those details, we will get them to you. More than likely, it will be the middle of next week. But again, stay tuned for details, and we'll go forward from there. Anyone else have any other thing for Wildstar Town Hall? It's looking like no. So what we're going to do now is we're going to head on down to the old questions. And Beetle, you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. All right, everybody. It's everybody's favorite time. It's question time. All right. First question is from OnRez, the man. Can each of the panel define one game that did guilds well and one that was lacking? What features made the game stand out? Blank. You can start because I have to think.
One game that did guilds well. I don't really think that games do guilds well. I feel that they balance how you interact socially with people. I can't think of a game off the top of my head that I've played that I felt didn't do at least an acceptable job of social interaction and systems. But I'm sure one of the guys here may. I know Roshi's played Eve. I know some of you guys have played other games. But I can't think of one where I was like, wow, they messed up social systems so much that it makes me want to vomit and walk away. So, but again, there isn't one that really sticks out. However, I will say, and of course it sounds like, we a Wildstar. I like the social systems of Wildstar because of the different layers. That's what I got. Sorry. Go ahead, Roshi. What were you going to say?
Well, for me, I started a game that didn't do very well recently. That would be PlanetSide 2, considering it is like a first-person shooter MMO, which is squad-based. And they had the worst guild system ever, which is nothing there. You couldn't tell when players were last online, where they were. It just made life awkward. Some members find it hard to see your squads you set up, like we did last Saturday when he's playing the olden games. And for a game did well, I'd say EVE Online had a really in-depth model for managing your guild. You could easily set up roles, play around with stuff, give different people different bases and such, and then they put a recruitment poster system built into game. So you could...
And Roshi's gone.
Lost Roshi's. Oh, he's back. He's back. No,
there you go.
He's back. Just kidding. Don't worry about it.
It's just having some sort of that recruitment system built into the game that made it stand out really for me and Eve. Pass it on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Aegon, go ahead. I'll take it last.
I think for me, definitely Eve. I probably had the. Sorry, I'm doing a million things. Definitely for me, Eve probably had the best guild corporation system, because pretty much it's what the game was all about. If you weren't shooting rocks or shooting people, it was all about dealing with people and communication, and that's what they built the game around. And I thought it worked really well the way they designed it. There was a few aspects that I know need some serious fixing, like the way alliances are controlled, but that goes into a whole different story of metagaming. For things that do it bad, I think none of them really do it bad, but I think
Mage created officer
don't
channel.
Go as far as they should have, to create a real social environment.
All right. I would say my favorite most recent was the first Guild Wars, and my least favorite was the second Guild Wars, and I'll say why. The first Guild Wars didn't round with like, hey, there's gonna be a ton of stuff, there's gonna be all this, all this guild stuff. It was, you're in a guild. If you're in a guild, the biggest thing to do is guild battles. So you transfer to your guild hall, and you go do guild battles with your team. It's a matchmaking system. It puts you in, you fight each other. It's got rankings that had different types of capes, all this other stuff. And the guild halls themselves, they had things you could buy that were useful to the player. Most of the time, I would just go to the guild hall if I needed something. If there wasn't a merchant or, a storage nearby, I would just drop to the guild hall real quick. So I feel like they didn't say they were going to do a ton of guild stuff, but what they had, and I joked in chat earlier, we're saying Halo 2. Halo 2, you invited your buddy, you created a quick emblem, and you're just like, all right, we're a clan now. You get 2 other buddies, and then you can go group up with 4 people that are technically in a clan, go to the clan battles playlist, and all of a sudden you're going into clan ranked matches, and it ranks based on your clan type. So it's like, it's not huge in depth, but it works really well. And then Guild Wars 2 had a ton of stuff, ton of guild stuff, but the influence really bugged me because it capped out per group, and the groups, could only be so big. There's just a lot of stuff that bugged me about it, and always felt like smaller guilds, your 30s to 40s, were always held down by this, and it was just more disappointing, and they didn't have the guild halls, which I would have liked to see at launch, which was sad face. All right. Next question is not that. Alice asks, will the Lumini be a playable race in the future? I think I'll go first just because I'm reading it. They're such a big part of the lore and such a leadership figure that I don't think their race will be played, and it kind of takes away from the lore if all of a sudden there's 3 million of them running around, because they're a smaller group. I believe there's only a couple thousand, and it doesn't seem. I think they need to be that untouchable. Like, we can't be that. Oh, they're so awesome, we can't do that. Blank, what do you think?
Pretty much going to see them as, that very specific group. You're not going to be able to play them, not at all. They're too small, specialized. They're one of those unique things about lore. I doubt you're going to be able to play them. Roche, what are your thoughts?
Why would they do this? Eventually it would be beneath them, wouldn't they? They're fit for rolling, not, getting somewhere where exiles may accidentally turn up on their doorstep. I don't see them being a playable class at all. That's my view in it. Aegon?
Well, definitely they're not going to be a playable class. The race is too small. They're pretty much limited to the nobility. Why would they spend their time here on Nexus when they have other things to do?
All right.
I'm sure we'll definitely see.
Next question.
I think we'll definitely see a good handful of them as NPCs that we deal with.
Yeah. All right. Vizarian asks, what class do you think will most likely dominate the game so far? I think it's way too early to tell. I'm sure the other guys will agree with me on this. Nod your heads, yes.
Yeah. Until we find them all out, we can't even compare.
Nod your head. Is Classics Game and asks, is the Dominion secretly the Alliance? We've got Space Elves, which are Night Elves, the Draken, which are Draenei, the Chua, which are Gnome, and the Makari, which are Panda or the Worgen, and the Cassian, which are the humans. Blank.
We've talked about this. When it comes to looking at a direct correlation, I don't believe there really is one, depending on how you look at it and how you weigh your social variables. is, oh, okay, you may be talking about looking alike. I believe that is what it is. The question is talking about them looking like, but in general, I don't think so. They're very different. Their backgrounds are different, and there's less of a story to build upon and be drawn into. So you have more of a generalized area. Like I said, they're not as polarizing as the Alliance or the Horde. It's like, oh, these guys say it's their birthright. These guys say, poor us, we got kicked out. So if we're talking about it as a social variable, the answer is no. If we're talking about it as looks, I'm going to say no again. Roche?
Can you just make this connection to pretty much any MMO side? You could say the Draken or the Orcs, you could say the Chura, the Goblins, you could say the Makari, the Ogres, and, Ashen or like the evil Death Knights. It's just, I think any game you can sit there and draw this connection. And as Blank said, it's not polarized the same way WoW was or War or the other games. You've got two sides, they have their viewpoint, both are right in their way and their beliefs. It's not a black and white setup. That's my views on it.
All right. Okay, moving on. Dodix asks, this gives me a question for Nixus? Uh-oh. Oh, no, it's not for Nixus. Don't worry about it. It's not for him. Would you guys rather see lore remain closed in the sense that references to pop culture would break immersion? I would like to see that. I would like it to be close to the game and not talking about Justin Bieber or something like that. Orochi, what do you think?
I'd like to see it closed, but there's going to be the odd thing that pops across, maybe vague references to pop culture, but, maybe a little tiny Easter egg somewhere, not every single time you speak to somebody. Blank?
I would definitely say breaking my immersion is kind of difficult because I'm not fully... When my immersion is not as deep as other people's, I'm not as invested in the lore. So seeing a reference to pop culture wouldn't bother me as much. I might find the humor in what it is. So to see it fully closed, to me, honestly, I'm gonna have to say I don't care, unless it's something really dumb. Where you got to go to a singing Justin Bieber to sing his song or something dumb like that. I doubt we'd see that, but honestly, when it comes down to it, I can see the humor. I can see funny little things. I like Easter eggs, so for you guys, it's probably different, but for me, it's not that big a deal. Aegon, how about you?
I say no. I mean, I don't mind the references as long as they're not fully in your face and blatantly there. If it's something that I find, or something just they happen to interestingly lay in there for us to find, I'm okay with that. If it's too in your face, then no, I wouldn't want to see it. But if it's in there as a good Easter egg, and drawn far enough away from its actual topic of reference, but still noticeable, I'm okay with that.
Roshi, you got another thing?
Yeah. Do we actually read the quest things? Blank, do you read them? Or do you just see what you need to kill next and then
That's
move
a good
on?
point.
The answer is no. However, the one caveat to that is, screw you, Nixus, I saw that. The one caveat to that is this. There have been, in MMOs, whether it was the art styling, whether it was the geography, maybe it was a zone, maybe it was a specific quest, there have been times where I was like, whoa, this is actually cool. I stopped and I couldn't tell you what it is on what it was for a game. I don't have a really big one, but there've been times where I've been just power leveling my, I'm friggin' 18 hours in and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, this is really, really, what is this? What is really going on? What factors into that? I don't know. But honestly, most of the time it's add quest go, add quest go, add quest go. Where's the region? How do I do this? Which one's part of this? Boom, boom, boom. So, sorry guys, I'm not that.
I just realized,
you
there's a huge, great pop culture reference in the entirety of the game which runs all the way through it. The cash-ins of British accents, and as far as America's concerned, any evil, scientific, brainy race has a British accent.
It's true.
It's true. You know, if any movie you watch it, the scientist is British. If you've got a bad guy these days, they're British.
I'm convinced when we're done with the show, Hiroshi, you roll that chair into some sort of dastardly secret lair and start working on your death machine anyway. So,
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on. I will say that one of my favorite quests that broke pop culture was Guild Wars 1, Drakes on a plane with Koss, if anybody remembers that. Sick of these Drakes on this plane. Alright. Wildstar PvP asks, it's at Nixus. Nixus, you're only allowed to nod your head or shake your head. Do you think Wildstar will be a top 3 MMO? What was that? That was, like a
That was very indifferent.
Headlights. Deer. Scared. I'm done to
I
question.
don't know. Blit.
Oh man.
Blank. It's not the question for you. You can't talk.
Well then I'll just
Look at him.
sad face then.
There, yeah, it's sad faced. All right,
I
perfect.
think it will be. I think it's going to be the top MMO when it comes out. You know, maybe after Warcraft, because everyone just plays it because they have no life.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
Warcraft 3 is
I'm
a
ducking
big
this
MMO.
question. I'm ducking this question.
Ducking it?
Nope.
Duck it.
I'm ducking it. I'm ducking it.
Duck
No,
it.
I was
Be a
gonna say
duck.
something.
Don't say it.
Is it just going
I
to
want to hear
have
it.
a lot of competition? You've got World of Warcraft, you've got the Elder Scrolls, it's got a big following at the moment. Depends what else comes out between now and then. It may or may not do it. It may be a little cliche game aimed at the 1%, which is, you know, their gold audience. And
Well-
I'd be happy to see that.
Oh, here comes Blank.
What I want to say is this. Shut
YOLO.
up. What I want to say is this. The market is really dynamic right now. And what NCSoft and Carbine are doing with Wildstar is interesting on a bunch of different levels. I don't feel that they're trying to be the quote-unquote WoW killer. Their hype isn't based around being the WoW killer. They're letting their content speak for itself. And if you look at the content, it covers the only thing out there that Wildstar doesn't have when it comes to MMO big things is open world PvP as a system. They do have war plots. So if we're going to say is it in that top 3, I'm going to say absolutely. And if they maintain where they want to go and the focus that they have, I see it being very successful because they're going to bring what so many people came to World of Warcraft for originally, and it was that desire of being badass, being awesome, whether it's raids or PvP. And even though it doesn't have open world PvP, it has the throwback of what people want. That's it. Yep.
Does it need to be the top 3? If you look at EVE, they've been like this really small MMO, and each year they go up in number of people playing the game, and they're consistently gone up every year. It's the only MMO to do it. I'd like to see Wildstar live up to its name, a 1% game for people who are interested in hardcore gameplay, and build on that base. You know, I'd rather not see like 2 million people descend on the game, play it for a month, and leave. You know, and devastate it. It'd be nice to see it gradually step up, month after month, year after year, and become a solid game because it's got a good base. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. Should we move on to the next question?
Take
Why-
that, Nexus. All right. The viewers in chat have voted for you to quack like a duck, Blank, because if you scroll up, there are several votes asking you to quack like a duck.
Listen, this isn't the Elden games where we did silly shit for dollar bills.
Whoa.
Why do
Wearing
I
dresses?
No, wait.
Your viewers,
Why?
the
Do I
viewers
have to-
that love you and just wanna watch this show. They've been here for an hour or something. All they want to hear is a quack, and then we can stop the stream, skip the rest of the questions, call it a night.
And go to bed.
Quack, quack.
Oh,
Was that good?
was me,
Do I do it again?
That was lame. We'll
But-
give you time to think of a better quack. We'll get back to you, blank. We'll get back to you. A couple of these we've talked about. I'm just gonna kind of move here, guys. Keep up. Spring asks, do you think that war plots are there to help blend the line between PvP and PvE because of the having the ability to capture a raid boss? I think it's going to be mostly PvP, but there could be some lines blurred there with different features, stuff like that. I could see them tapping into it. Hiroshi, what do you think?
I think it is. I think it's a slight encouragement because if war plots aren't guild related, they're individual related, then remember that war plot's got to go to the raid and get that raid boss. So it's got to go out, raid, get the raid boss, bring it back to the war plot. So it gives some sort of crossover to the game. I think that's where they're aiming. Blank?
I'm gonna say no. Just because they added a nuance doesn't mean that they're there to blend a line. I just think it's something cool that they, add as a part of their game. I'm not actually seeing it as anything more than this is cool. So the answer for me is absolutely not. And your duck, quack, quack, quack. That's what I got for you. That's it. That's all.
Man, that
all
was
right?
beautiful. That was really good job, man. Good job. All right.
Can we continue, please?
Oh, we can. I'm so happy now. Don't even worry. Beamlight asks, is it really more epic or 1% for putting in more effort if you have 37 more people? This sounds like two different styles of game, not an effort debate. And this is pertaining to the arena gear tier versus the war plot tier. Blank, I'll let you take it.
The way that they have it set up is so it's not about effort. It's going to be based upon your skill and time, and it's not just one variable. Not quite like, for example, legendaries in Guild Wars 2, where you were able to put a bunch of time to get something. You have to have the skill to beat these bosses. You have to have the skill to defeat other players. You have to have better tactics for your war plots. Effort, I hate effort is one of those very weak variables to me that I don't like to put in, because it's not about effort. It's about time. It's about skill. It's about gear. It's about numbers, about coordination. Effort's just one of those things. I'd rather talk about, people being resilient to doing a 5-hour raid and being able to maintain the mental strain necessary to continue through than talk about, putting an effort. Effort to me is just a watered down saying of time. So, Hiroshi, what did you have to say for
I could
effort and
see where he's
people?
coming from this. If we're talking about the PvP side, the fact you've got a really good arena group of 3 people, and then to get the best gear, you've got to find 37 more people to go and do it with, be able to progress because somebody else is in there, and it's a gear-dependent game, then yes. But from what we're saying, it's a skill-dependent game. So if you've got slightly better gear, doesn't mean you're going to be able to win every single match. And it does turn out how they actually make this happen. But they don't end up with a gear grind if you want to be good at PvP. If it comes down to skill and getting better, and then having some better gear as an extra bonus, then that's cool. I don't think it's going to pan out that way.
All right.
Anyone else?
Moving on here because we got a bunch. Japanaman asks, gear for achievements. Does that mean everyone can get everything and everyone will be the same? Blank.
No, nope. They mentioned that it was going to be for specific slots and for off things. Some achievements might be easy, some achievements might be hard. That's my speculation. I doubt everyone's going to be the same. And within, milestones and all the other things they said that right. You are going to be able to, focus on what you want to do, whether you're a tank or you're, the ranged healer, whatever. So, gear for achievements, I don't believe everyone's going to be the same. 'Cause it's going to be, I need to get this achievement because I'd like to get this item because it goes on my tail or whatever. Roshi, how about you?
I see. You've got 6 classes. So you can have achievements, one for each different class is going to be different. You then got 4 paths. So you're going to get some sort of mix-up combination there. You're already shuffling the deck as it is. And then people are going to experience different parts of the content. There's 150 to 200 hours of stuff to do there. Are you really going to get every single achievement? You're going to concentrate upon what interests you, where you're trying to level up in the game and enjoy it. So no, I don't think people are going to be the same. There's too much to experience. It's like in life. You know, there's so many different things to do. People are going to spread out and not get everything. Beetle?
Yeah, it's definitely, if they're giving stuff for achievements, it's definitely going to be based on, like you said, the different paths, the difficulty of the achievement. As long as they're not giving the best gear for, like, I'll go to, like, Call of Duty, you know, like, an achievement for getting 5 kills in a match or an achievement for getting 5 assists in a match, as long as something equivalent to that doesn't give you gear in Wildstar, but you have to go kill certain boss with only one type of skill or not getting hit or never going below 40% health, something like that, that's much more worth the gear, and that makes it so a lot more people won't have the same thing as you unless they want to go do that. It's not 100%. Kethrim asks, speculation. When are they planning on telling us the last 2 races and classes? No idea. I think most of the guys will agree. It says no idea from Blank. No idea from Hiroshi. It's going to be probably a Wildstar Wednesday. It could be an E3 thing. It could be a Gamescom thing. It could be a TGS thing. It's balls in their court. They have so much more stuff to talk about that, you know, they can talk about war plots. They can talk about guilds. They can talk about that. They can talk about... It's just like, it'll come eventually, but they have so much stuff. All right. Dodix asks, what about forming guilds pre-launch a la SWOTOR and skipping the level requirement / cost? I believe that was with pre-ordering or having enough people. You're able to do that with SWOTOR or Hiroshi?
I think it'd be a really good idea. You don't necessarily need to skip the level requirements and cost. But if you could say all the members of our guild, we're together as a group, please pre-arrange to have us on a set server straight off from the go like Star Wars did, that'd be really cool. Then it would save this rush of trying to queue in to get on the right servers before they get full. I think that would help guilds out a lot. And the same you could do it for alliances. We want to form the alliance with somebody, and we could be on the same server as them. And we found there's like a real big exile guild or alliance we want to fight against. Then we can submit that in too, like they did for SWOTOR. But I don't think you necessarily need to skip the level requirements / cost. You could just have it pre-set up to an right server. Aegon?
Well, I think if they tried to do that, they're going to have to be careful, because we all know what a cluster F it turned out when SWOTOR tried to do it. Our whole guilds couldn't get on servers, or they ended up on the wrong servers. So, I mean, if it's something they're going to do, it's something they're going to have to look very carefully at how they organize it, compared to how BioWare did it.
Alright. Onrez asks, will having guild currency promote more guild leveling versus circles? I think, yeah, but what if, I don't even know. What if you're in the same circle as the guild people that you're grouped with? Will it still drop, or is it based on you, like, representing a circle instead of a guild? Blank, what do you think?
I feel like you might be with guildies, say there's 3 people, and you might be leveling with them or doing stuff with them, because I'm not going to keep it just to leveling, but, you know, doing whatever. But you still have your circles where you could be like, hey, you know, we got a group, we're at X level. Hey, you guys are friends, we love you. Do you guys want to come do this with us? You're still creating guild currency. You're still, you know, you've got your guild, which is, you know, ultimately what you play games for. But then you also have the ability to engage others too. So does it promote guild leveling or guild events? Sure, but I don't think it excludes circles. So, Hiroshi, how about you?
I think it depends how you use your circles. I see my circles of, like, these are my people I craft with. These are, you know, my group of friends, not necessarily my guild. So I'm out leveling with Blank and Beetle, and we need 2 more people. We can go to our circles and say, hey, you know, come help us out in this dungeon or something. There is extra talk channels to talk to with your friends and communicate, like, I've got this item to sell, I can sell it to my group of friends first. I'm not sure they're a guild replacement, where it's like an additional social add-on. So, yeah, you're more likely to be leveling your guild than with a circle of friends, unless you're not in a guild. And if you're always playing with that circle of friends, why aren't you in a guild with them? That's my view on it. Anybody else?
I mean, I agree. I agree with that completely.
Well, just one thing?
Blank?
For circles, like, they haven't, from what I understand, I may be wrong, we don't know how many people you can have in one. Like, I'd love to have, a drinking buddy circle, or, a circle that is, our friends that may not be in our guild, but, want to come do something cool, in the future. So they may not want to join the guild. They may not want to be a part of it, because some guilds, like for ours, we are, we're not exclusionary. However, there are other guilds that say we only do PvP, we only do PvE. For them, circles work really well, because you could be a PvP focused guild, decide you want to go capture a raid boss, find a guild that has 20 people, or a circle that you're friends with, and say, yo, you take your 20 people, we'll take our 20 people. What we'll do is we'll help you because we've got this gear, we'll push through, and we'd like to capture something for our war plot. So circles, like I said, it's a big social variable that I love. Some guilds are not as open with their recruitment and who they let in. So circles is there for everybody. I think that, yeah, I'm done. No more. Next question.
All right.
I'll just be right back.
Oh, Hiroshi's going to be right back. All right. Bye-bye, Hiroshi. Thrice Gaming asks, real question, have we heard anything about guild housing? We touched on that. They said that they're planning for guild housing. I see you. And they're looking to unveil it. Blank, what do you got?
No, I was just going to mention that we talked about guild housing.
You're gonna say bye-bye.
And they said there is going to be guild housing. It's not going to be war plots. And a bunch of us had, made speculation or positions that we don't want our guild house to be our war plot. We want it to be separate. And we also discussed, possibly having, the possibilities of what guild housing means. So, yeah, that we went over it. You'll be able to watch everything that you missed on that topic on YouTube tomorrow. So,
yep. All right. Daytix asks, I think I got it right this time, is guild tax important to keep guild funds high? Not actual tax, but bonus currency generated by the drops that goes directly to the guild bank. That's a pretty big debate in most games. Should a game add a guild tax? Should we, if the game doesn't have an automatic tax through the game, like, do we implement it ourselves on the forums and tell the guys, hey, you need to donate this much money each week? It's a big thing. I don't know where my stance really is on it. It helps if people want to donate, Hiroshi?
You're in a guild, and the guild needs certain costs to run. You should be helping your guild out. That's how I see it. I come from a neat background. You had a guild tax that was automatically applied when you went out and did PvE stuff. If you did PvP stuff, there was a portion taken back for your corporation. It's the same. If your guild has funds which you have to pay for out of in-game cash, then we all should be helping. I've been in a guild before. It's like, but I only like to PvP. I don't like to PvP. Why should I be paying for that side? Well, we all work together as a team, and we try and help each other out. That's part of it. Anybody else think the same, or?
That's my thing. It helps. It helps. It's a whole thing, because we don't know if it's going to be in the game. Because then it's a whole thing where we have a conversation. It's like, all right, I had guilds in the past where I was. Yeah, I had guilds in the past in games that my tax was like 97% of what I was making, and we're getting feedback again. Try that thing.
I got it. So what we're going to talk about for guild tax, for me, is that there's different ways to do it. If the game itself implements ways for you to generate money into the guild, then you adjust things from there. Sometimes, in certain games, that's not in there. So you have to set up your systems where, for example, we, in one of the guilds I was in, if you got a new drop that night in a raid and it was progression content, you would have your item enchanted with the best enchantment. However, you forego all of those extra drops on the side unless it was for crafting or something like that. So there's a lot of different systems in there, and we'll have to see where, Wildstar goes and how you got to implement, having a guild tax, how you do your guild bank, and things like that. So, let's keep trucking along.
Yeah. Kasuan probably destroyed that name too. Wonder if guild currency will be used for repairing war plots. I could see it being used if war plots are more attributed to guilds than they are war parties, but since they've said that war plots will be used within war parties, I don't see it being used. I said used a lot. Blank.
More than likely, no. Guild currency will be for your XP boost. Wild speculation, hold on. Guild currency will be for XP boost, crafting, maybe even increasing, your build time on individual things like housing, or maybe your settlers have longer buffs. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that guild currency could be used for. Is it going to be used for war plots? No, because from what we've seen, when it comes to currencies, they're specific. You get reputation for one thing. You get guild stuff. What you can spend it on, war plots will probably have its own stuff, its own currency if you need to repair things or for whatever, that you'll get probably from doing war plots. Or it might be a part of how you do it. You might actually just have to repair them before you go out to a new battle. Who knows? But on this question, the answer is absolutely not. I don't see guild currency being used for war plots at all.
Okay. We're going to keep moving then. MMO Papa asks, PvP will provide experience. Do you think that crafting should? I can see the consequence of this happening being the increase of crafters putting the decrease of value for the individual crafter because of the resulting competition. Orochi, go. I don't know.
No, I don't think crafting should get XP. Every game I've seen where it's got XP in it is just, as Papa said, it reduces the values and stuff. People make stuff just to level and then get rid of it. I think you should be crafting because it's something you want to do, and the upside is you're going to make yourself money. That's going to be better for you than XP. You can get your XP when you're out gathering your mats or doing other stuff. I think crafting should not give XP. Blank?
Metagame, absolutely not. If crafting gives you XP, then guilds out there are going to do what they did for Guild Wars 2, and they're going to hog materials, they're going to bump it to one person, and then you're going to have people that it just takes away from crafting, and it takes away from generating experience from other methods. So my answer is no, not at all. I don't think it should at all.
I also agree. It kind of sunk into me when I was listening to everybody else. It was just like, oh yeah, like 2 weeks ago I made a new alt in Guild Wars 2 and literally crafted him to 80 just because I have the money, and it was just like, now I have a warrior at 80. So yeah, it's a bad thing because he has like 12% world completion. So yeah, not good. Moving on. Another question from Papa here. Do you think the absence of penalty for death in MMOs have made people less cautious and tactical in their encounters? YOLO? Question mark. Well, YOLO. I mean, it's YOLO. Orochi.
Yes. Death penalties have got weaker and weaker in MMOs, and I think people then start either changing the behavior how to play the game. Having a death penalty means you're going to take less risks. You're going to think about the encounters before you do it rather than just rush headlong in and go, oh, I died. I don't care because I can just do this by attrition. And the same for open world PvP. Having death penalty in there will make people think twice about what they're doing. Aegon?
Definitely, death penalty, the lack of it has definitely made players less cautious, more risky, basically because they don't have to think about their time anymore. It's not like the old classic like EverQuest where I had to worry about dying because if I died, I'd have to make a hour and a half trip to try and get my body, and then hope somebody could fight their way to my body to get all my stuff back. And, so I really took my time not trying to die back in those days. Now times there's no penalty behind it. I pay a couple gold to fix my armor, and I run back with my super speed while dead, and, that's it.
Yeah. Corpse runs. Corpse runs were always just a blast. I mean, why don't you want corpse runs? They're the best thing in games.
I mean, some of the best friends during corpse runs.
Yeah. Oh, hey, man, you dead too? Yeah. Let's go this way. All right. Another question from Thrice Gaming. Which path do you think will generate the most money? Ooh, man. Blank. What do you think will generate the most money?
I actually didn't answer this. You're gonna have to skip me for a second because my answer was going to be a more
no problem.
It was going to be a more generic answer.
Personally, I think from what I've seen for path like experience and mission types, I think soldier, especially with a good group, farming the nodes, what they call them, brain fart right now. But
the holdouts.
Farming holdouts, I think it is. Yeah, farming holdouts. There's going to be drops. There's going to be good stuff. Yes, other things will be fine, treasures and stuff like that, but that's straight farm. That's my thing with it. Blank, you ready to talk?
Yeah. I don't necessarily feel like, you just said holdouts for soldiers. Okay. But just because the path is based around killing things, we don't know, are you going to be able to sit there and farm one? Like, say you really like one, you're going to be able to farm it. Is there a cooldown? How far apart they may be. We don't know these sort of things. When it comes to, again, I knew I wanted to generalize this. When it comes to paths that will generate the most money, I don't see it being really game-breaking. I don't see, these huge numbers and then being like, oh, crap.
That's true.
Soldiers are going to make the most. I see more, potential in, crafting and that whole metagaming of first to get specific items that people need and want at, Elden game. So that is what I wanted to say.
I got a feeling they're going to try and balance the rewards equally between the paths. No matter how you get your reward, I think they're going to try and balance it out.
Right. And it's a lot of speculation, and we just don't know here. Moving on. This question does not have a name next to it. I'm sorry, ye unnamed one. If the game, or it might just be Thrice again, actually. If the game is successful, do you think this game has the potential to be an EverQuest or WoW-style game with a plethora of expansions over the years? Do you think it'll have a 2-year lifespan? Or do you think it'll just have a 2-year lifespan? I love expansions. That's I know it's not that old, but that's one of the reasons I really still like Guild Wars 1. It's just it got so much better with each expansion. They just added great stuff. It's just, I don't know, expansions are really cool, and they give you something to be excited for. I don't play Diablo 3 right now, but the second there's Diablo 3 expansion, I'll be so pumped up, ready for it. So, Hiroshi, what do you think?
I think they've got plenty of room for the expansions, and with raids being with this randomized boss power system, gives there plenty of extensions to the game, and then we have plenty of content with adventures, progressing the story, and it is a sci-fi game. It's not just the planet Nexus. You maybe got its moons in the picture there, so there's plenty of room to expand into. And if they could keep the end game content coming like they say they're going to, then I could see it lasting more than 2 to 3 years. If they just drop back when the game's launched, then no, it won't. Blank?
I look at it like this. World of Warcraft, when it comes to expansions, they had their base lore. Wildstar's lore is just being created. We're seeing Wildstar Wednesdays where we're learning about this stuff. The amount of room they have to grow, if the game is successful, they could go anywhere. And this is one of those speculation cool things. How cool would it be if you see that, there's a lot of Dominion domination, and they decide that that's where they're going to take the next expansion. That's where they're going to take lore. I kind of feel bad because with the pacing that they have for putting content out, every couple of weeks, every month to every 2 months to keep content fresh at Elden Game, that's going to be rough. But then if things are super, super successful, it's like, okay, you're going to have this many before it's big, expansion time. There'll be some busy folks at Carbine, pumping out a lot of content and quality stuff too. From what we've seen, it's not crap. It's really, really good. So, absolutely.
All right. Let's move on here. Game Shake asks, do you think Elder Scrolls coming out this year could hurt Wildstar? It's competition. I see Elder Scrolls and Wildstar, yes, they're both MMOs, but I think they both cater to different audiences. I'm a big Elder Scrolls fan. I love Skyrim. My favorite is Morrowind. Morrowind was awesome for me. It really just depends on what people are looking for. They're going to be direct competitors, yes. They could hurt each other, honestly. I mean, it really depends on which one has a better launch. That initial launch, everybody says error 37, I can't log into Wildstar. Oh, I can log into Elder Scrolls, makes it a better game. It's just, there's a lot of that initial stuff that can sometimes hurt. We'll see. I think they're going to launch together at the same, at the same level, because Elder Scrolls is going to be a big game. It's not for me. I like Wildstar much better, but you can't deny that it's going to be a big MMO unless it craps on themselves and drops like Titan, but we'll see. Orochi?
I think, yeah, as you said, it's aimed at two different audiences. You've got Elder Scrolls, which is aimed at the Elder Scroll player base, and they've got huge amounts of hype going down at the moment. Wildstar, it just seems to me like this small MMO is not aiming to get as many people on as possible. They're aiming to make a good MMO which builds up on its player base and gradually builds up, like they're gradually building up the hype that, yeah, Elder Scrolls is going to come out and bang, everyone's going to go and play it, because everybody is. And then people go, I'm not so interested in this after all. I think the way they're building Wildstar is about the long term. It's not about that quick money grab like a lot of MMOs recently have been. So, but yes, they're going to hurt each other if they come out exactly at the same time or within a month or two of each other. Blank?
I don't see it. If it comes to ranking, and there's going to be some butthurt emails to Blank and or comments tomorrow, but Elder Scrolls is not even remotely on the radar for me when it comes to interesting, when it comes to systems, both packs and information gathered since then. Could it hurt? I mean, it's competition. It sucks when things come out at the same time. But there are other games out there that are much more intriguing than Elder Scrolls. So when I consider competition, I don't necessarily consider Elder Scrolls. They're like, yo, we want your 90-year-old grandma to come play our game to be interested in doing this stuff. Whereas Wildstar is like, we're making this game awesome on all aspects, and if your grandma can't play, well, then maybe you can play with her in the circle on Sunday after dinner,
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that came out of PAX, and I didn't even go, is, Elder Scrolls at PAX hurt themselves. And with the initial group of gamers, these hardcore gamers, these big-time gamers that go to PAX, and they go to this booth, they go to that booth, and they're all coming out of this booth, and I'm getting Steam messages, I'm getting emails from people I know that are out there. They're just like, oh, man, that's not good compared to Wildstar over here that people were having a lot more fun with. I won't say what they were saying was not good, but it was Elder Scrolls. The next question. The Real Schwags ask, is this another Care Bear MMO?
No.
I don't think so. They're going to be catering to the 1%. All right, no.
No.
He said no. What is the news on flying mounts? We've talked about this in a couple other episodes. Dragons. I want them. We've argued with people saying that they don't want them. If you want to see us go into a little further with that, it's at Carbine. It's still being discussed.
If you want to talk about flying mounts. If you want to talk about flying mounts, make sure to get your community rep, your guild, whoever it is, get your butt over to Wildstar Central. We are going to be collecting the data at our town halls next week, and we're going to be sending it into Carbine. They've stated that they're looking to get more feedback. They have the ability to have it in the game, but they're not sure. Let's let them know where we stand as the people who want to play this game, who are active right now, not the people who come along a month before who are interested. So that's what I got to say about that. And there was one other thing here that Warplots had mentioned that I wanted to. It wasn't really a question. It was putting crafter's name in front of a crafted item. Little things like this strengthen community, and I wanted to say, I love this. If you make some sort of item that is difficult to make, it takes, things from, using WoW as my example, from heroics or hard modes, and you're able to sell it. Being able to put your name on that, I think, is just flippin' awesome. Like, and then when people are, examining you and they're able to look, it's like, this thing, this DPS, whatever, made by boom. I love it. Hiroshi, how about you?
Well, I think he's talking more of, like, when you create, like, a great item, it would be like Blank's hurting ass of butt kicking is what he's talking about when an item's crafted. I think for legendary items or really epic items, that would be awesome to do.
I would stick in the description. So you make your laser gun of doom, and in the description, it describes at the bottom, it says made by Hiroshi or made by Blank Space. If you stick it in the name, you can have some idiot who's named themselves Elite Arsewipe number 15, and then you're going to carry around Elite Arsewipe number 15's laser gun, because that's the only way to get that specific item. And people talk about breaking immersion. That could be one of the biggest immersion breakers going. But by putting it in the description, you still have that, like, nod to the person that made it. But without that public display of.
If I want the 420 YOLO swag sword Roshi, I'm gonna have it. All right, and for with Blank talking, if you want to talk about flying mounts, come to Town Hall. If you don't want them, be prepared to fight my face, because I'll go at you in a debate way. That looks like it's all the questions for the night. We stopped taking questions a little while ago because becomes the longest part of the show, and I'm so glad majority of you guys stick around and hang out for the questions. I know it drags on, but we like to answer you guys' questions. It's much better to get you guys involved in the chat room. It's awesome. And Blank, you want to take us out?
All right. Again, some of you guys have been here from the beginning. Some of you guys have just tuned in. We do have a hashtag for the town halls. For those of you who are active on Twitter, it's going to be hashtag WS Town Hall, or it's all one word. Look for the information on Wildstar Central. Look for the information to be put out on Twitter. We'll make sure to post it on Facebook. We are going to be live streaming both of them. So, it's going to be really awesome to be able to generate this sort of stuff and send it to Carbine so that they know where we stand, right now. We do want to have a huge shout out to Zap Robo. There's going to be a birthday event. I believe it is Friday. I don't have the exact time in front of me. Me and Beetle are both, we have wedding season, so I'll be out of town, Beetle will be out of town. However, unless Nixus falls asleep or these other guys aren't there, SVG will be in the house. We're going to be playing some games. Yep. It's going to be a lot of fun. I believe that Nixus is going to get you a link to check it out. It looks like it just popped up. Again, on our way out here, make sure to follow us on Twitch. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We, if you're active on Twitter, you know what our names are. It's Real Blank Space Beetle Bossy. The guild one is SVG Wildstar, but you can find those pretty easy. Just search Wildstar, and you'll see us on there a lot. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. It was a very long show, but when you have a lot of information that's important to get out, we want to make sure that we're giving you the content that you may not, catch. We want to make sure that it's there for you to get a conversation with people who are, totally immersed in everything, and also share it, have that dialogue back and forth with the chat room, with you guys, and be like, hey, what are your thoughts, and be able to bounce back and forth. Every week we do this, so we hope to see you next week. Thank you for showing up, and we will see you next week for Late Night Dominion, and look forward to the Town Hall information here shortly. So thank you for tuning in, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Good
for
night.
stopping by.
Good night.
Night, everyone.
Hearts. Is that a heart?
That's a heart.
Yeah, that's right.